first and most obvious thing that I'm going to say is that money is important. In fact, it's very, very important. But the thing that most people forget is it's not just how much money you make. It is the speed in which you make it and also how you make that money. You see, what I mentioned with speed is very, very important. If you make money too quickly, and a lot of money in that case, it will ruin your life. It will absolutely ruin your life because you have no grounding. You have no roots to actually keep you from going off the rails. And you see this all the time. You see people who become very successful very, very quickly and they don't have that grounding. Now, bear in mind, sometimes you'll see these overnight success, but these people have been working for the past 10, 15, 20 years on their craft, and then eventually they became an overnight success. But that's okay because they have that grounding of all the work and all the time and all the effort they put in. So they know who they are. They can look themselves in the mirror and know who they are with or without the success. So please never ever dream that you can inherit the money or win the lottery, because as I said, it will ruin your life, because you will have resources and you will have money that does not match with your identity and the resilience of your character. As the saying go, with great power comes great responsibility, and you need to be willing and you need to be ready for said responsibility. So please never ever wish for extreme riches. And by the way, when I say extreme riches, I mean, if you're making $0 right now and in a year you make 20,000, 30,000, maybe even $40,000, $50,000 a month, that's okay. I'm saying if you go from your position right now to making, millions a year, that will really, really ruin your life, especially if you don't have those roots and all of those years of working hard to really build up your character. So that way, without all of your externals, you know who you are as a person. Living in Dubai, I see a lot of examples of this, especially a lot of the crypto guys out here. And by the way, this is nothing against them whatsoever. Obviously, life has just forced a very interesting situation on them. But as I said, I have witnessed with my own two eyes how it ruins people. These people can never ever work hard again because they ended up making a lot of money with crypto. And bear in mind, in 2021, I made a lot of money with crypto, but at least I had, 6 years of business background and I was still making millions a year with my business. But I also knew, hey, a large part of this is luck. I didn't think I was some genius, super genius, anything like that. I knew that a large part of it was luck. So just remember, slow money is better. You will feel far more fulfilled and you will embody the traits that you want to embody far more when you make your money slowly. So now if you want to make money and actually enjoy it, you know that the slower you make your money, the more fulfilling it will be when it comes. And by the way, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to make money as fast as you can, because for 99.9% of you, it will take far longer than you initially imagine it will to hit your financial goals. So now that we've addressed the speed in which you make your money, which most people never consider, now we also need to think about how much. Now, I can tell you honestly that I have felt my absolute richest when I was making between $10,000 to $15,000 a month. That was the quality of life where I felt the absolute most abundant. Now, bear in mind, I was 17 years old when I was making that amount of money. In modern day times and, with inflation and everything that's happened, especially over the space of the last 2 years, I would say if you can get to $20,000, $25,000 a month, you will have freedom. And that is the most important thing in life. Now, once you get to around $1 million a year or so, that is really where you can start to afford more luxuries and, you can afford more nice things in your life. But also because you can afford more nice things, when you do have the nice things, kind of wears off, like even just nice dinners and stuff like that, it doesn't have as much meaning because you could technically do it whenever you want. A $5,000 holiday, if you're making $1 million a year, you can go on, 5 or 6 of those a year very, very comfortably. So it just doesn't have as much meaning. But I will say, getting to $1 million a year plus, you'll feel a lot more rich between that sort of $10,000 to $20,000 a month mark. But definitely getting to $1 million a year, it is a better quality of life. Now, the stage that I'm at, where I'm making most months $1 million, and that's in take-home after-tax profits, obviously living in Dubai, I can tell you that that is just excessive and unnecessary, honestly. So really, anything past $2 million a year onwards, for me, that's the situation where I want to start warning you guys. I really want to start warning you and just saying, be careful what you wish for, because it comes with a lot of extra headache that may not actually improve your quality of life. As I said, once you get past, honestly, I'd say anywhere from $1 million to $2 million a year, your actual quality of life doesn't really increase that much more, but you get a lot more headaches that come with it. And this rolls into the third thing that you need to analyze when you're thinking about, how much money you want to make. Let's say you're thinking, okay, what's the difference between making $500,000 a year and $7 million a year? It's like, of course, on paper, $7 million a year is better. Who would not want $7 million a year over $500,000 a year? But you have to ask yourself, at what cost am I making the $7 million compared to the $500,000? Listen, it is incredibly important to learn. Learn as much as you can, but it's far more important to apply that information. I want you to view my videos as an interesting viewpoint, an interesting perspective from someone who has walked the path very publicly. I've been documenting everything for 8 years now on YouTube that has walked the path that you want to walk. But none of it will have any effect whatsoever unless you apply it. Now, the thing is, YouTube is a very, very smart platform.
And it can be a very dangerous platform because sure, you have interesting educational, but remember, view my content as entertaining. And by the way, I want you to view most books out there in the exact same way, because most books, what it is, it's 15 pages of gold and then 300 pages of fluff, because they can't sell you a 15-page book and people will pay $12 for that, even though it's really only 15 pages that are valuable. Really, the only thing that I would consider proper learning is when you know exactly what you need to do and you're educating yourself on how to do it. Let's say there's an aspect of your online business or your online career that you know you need to work on in order to get ahead. Well, then immersing yourself in that specific topic, that's education. Just watching a podcast or reading a book because you think that it might be useful to you, that is very dangerous, and you need to look at that as entertainment and not education. $10,000 a month is the easy part. Continuing to make $10,000 a month, that's where it gets difficult, and also keeping that money and then multiplying it, growing your wealth over time. And rather than acting like some new money idiots, learn from old money. Even in my situation, even though I am new money, I knew from day one that I would make it, but I always promised myself that I would study old money to understand how to actually keep it and multiply my wealth. So the third component of making $10,000 a month is understanding that once you get there, you're not done. That is actually simply just the beginning. Now it is time to cement your place, have that as a baseline. And the crazy thing is we all have financial baselines. You know, for me, I remember when my baseline was $1,000 a month. And this is around 6 years ago. I was still in school at this point. And that doesn't mean what you're trying to make, what you're aiming to make. It just means if you go below that point, it will keep you up. You're like, this, it doesn't match your identity. You're like, this isn't me. And I remember when I went from $1,000 and then went to $5,000 and then went to $10,000. And listen, since then I've been very blessed to have an amazing career, and it's gone up to $100,000 a month and now $1 million a month. And you know, God willing, at some point it'll be a few $1 million a month, and that'll be my absolute baseline. I can't even conceive a reality where it's less than that. So the point I'm trying to make is, once you get to 10K a month, it's more than about making it an identity. It's more than about making that as your baseline. As I said, your financial identity is not where you're aiming for. It's where anything below that, and you would just feel off. You would be like, this isn't me. I'm better than this. So number one is get to 10K a month. And once you get there, make it your financial identity. And once that is solid and that's locked in, then you can keep working your way up the ranks. Then here's the real secret I'm gonna tell you. You take 50 to 70% of everything you make in that business and you invest it. That is the truest form of passive income. And this is the 10 million or even $100 million roadmap. Cash flow business that funnels into your investment portfolio. Cash flow, investment portfolio. Cash flow, investment portfolio. And just like a snowball rolling down the hill, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and the velocity gets quicker and quicker and quicker. I'm sure you guys have all seen that graph of Warren Buffett's net worth just compounding year on year on year, and how towards the end, it starts to go parabolic. So ladies and gentlemen, stop wasting time. Time is ticking. There is no such thing as passive income in the way that we've been sold the lie. Go out there, start the right business, and start getting rich quicker. You see, the issue is in modern society, everyone is in such a rush to become a millionaire. And the reason they're in such a rush is because of the things that they think it will give them. And by the way, I'm specifically speaking to the teenagers and the students here. You've got kids who are 16 who are in such a rush to become a millionaire, because I know exactly what they're thinking. They're thinking, hey, once I'm a millionaire, I'm gonna get all the girls, or people are gonna be impressed, and I'm gonna be able to buy these things. And I'm gonna talk to you very frankly as someone who made their first $1 million in cash in the bank at the age of 18. I'm going to tell you this right here, right now. When you make money at an early age, and I'm not talking early like 25 or 27, 28, because that's still earlier, or maybe even 23 or 24. I'm talking early as in 18, 21. No one is impressed. They just think you are a lucky kid. I can tell you this because I experienced this. Very few people thought he was a genius. They're like, oh, he got lucky at an early age and he's probably gonna lose all of it. Because honestly, that's what happens 98% of the time. So that's number one. And number two, girls don't want you at that age. Either you have someone like your high school sweetheart who loves you no matter what. So it doesn't matter if you make your first million at 18 or at 28, this girl's in it for the long run. Or if you're trying to pick up new girls, they're more concerned with like the 28-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, the sort of girls that you think money is gonna attract. They don't want a guy who's 18 or 21. So the reason I make that clear is because everyone who's 16, 18, 20 is in such a rush. You know, let me make my first million, let me make my first million. And it's so stupid because they would rather make their first million in something that is pretty much just luck. Let me give you an example. They would rather make their first million at 18 or 19 or 20 by some lucky crypto pick. You know, they put $1,000 into one shitcoin and then it turned into $1 million. Let me tell you something, that will ruin your life forever. Because first of all, making a good amount of money at a young age is already a massive challenge. What's even worse is if you got lucky. And let's call it what it is. That is luck. And by the way, I've made a crap ton of money with crypto, but I never thought that was me being a genius. I just knew, hey, there's a small part of my investment portfolio, and cool. In 2 years, I made almost $10 million from crypto, but that wasn't my career. And let me tell you something, if that was my career, I would be very depressed right now, considering everything that's going on in the crypto markets, and if I didn't get out at the right time and all of this stuff. But for me, I was always very chill about it because I planted my seeds. I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years. I have all of these businesses. So I know that I'm going on a little bit of side tangent here, but that's all to say that the best time, truly, I can tell you, the best time in my opinion, to make money is from the age of 25 to 30. Now, I happen to make money a lot younger, but also bear in mind, I started my first entrepreneurial venture when I was 14. So 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 5 years. It took me 5 years to make my first million. Remember what I told you earlier on? I said 5 to 10 years to make your first million. What happened to me? 5 years.
Now, this is the lie that you see perpetuated online about making money. In fact, I think it may be one of the worst lies to come out of the 21st century. Let me break something to you. There is no such thing as true passive income from your business. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce you to a concept called entropy. Now, entropy states that everything eventually evolves into a lack of order or predictability. Basically, a gradual decline into disorder. And this applies perfectly to business or making money. Everyone has this idea of passive income as you build an online business once and then you're set free for the rest of your life. Well, here's the honest truth. That is a lot of people's reality for a few weeks, a few months, maybe even a year. People do actually live that passive income lifestyle. They build a system and then it provides for them. But here's where the bad news comes in. Remember that thing I just told you about? That whole entropy thing? Well, eventually it catches up to you. Ladies and gentlemen, just like in life, whatever plants you don't water, well, they eventually die. And just like the goose that laid the golden eggs, if you stop feeding that goose, eventually you'll stop getting the golden eggs. Business is a living, breathing organism. And let me kind of take it back down to earth and give you a very tangible example. Let's say you have this idea of, hey, I don't want to ever run out of toilet paper. I want to be so abundant with toilet paper. So what you do is you stock up on as much toilet paper as you can find. You have 9 months worth of toilet paper. And for 9 months, you go about your life and you're like, I never have to worry about toilet paper ever again. Life is great. You are abundant with toilet paper. And eventually you realize, wow, I've never bothered to restock my toilet paper. I'm out. And you come to that sobering realization while you quite literally have your pants down. Well, in a metaphorical sense, that's kind of what passive income is like. Eventually you will come to that place where you reach the same conclusion, except you're caught with your pants down and you're like, I don't get it. The money dried up. This was meant to be fully passive. And that's a cold, hard truth of it. Just like anything in life, you can give yourself a very good run rate and you can do so much preparation so that way you don't have to worry about something for a very, very long time. By the end of the day, if it's something important or meaningful in life, at some point you have to give it attention.
Now listen, times have changed and the world is extremely different to what it was like 100 years ago. That said, some business principles are timeless. Now, 100 years ago, if you wanted to get rich quickly, and by the way, when I say quick, most people think quick means 2 months or 5 months. I'm talking quick in the normal world is, hey, I made the intention that I am gonna go from nothing to something, go from having average income to becoming a millionaire. Quick is 5 to 10 years. It's not 5 to 10 months. Normally 100 years ago, even right now, if you want to become a millionaire, from the point in which you get your degree, it'll take you 20, 30 years. So trust me, when I say 5 to 10 years, that is a good timeline. Now, I say 5 to 10, but it'll probably be a lot quicker for you. The second route is you work inside of a fast-growing company, a company where you can learn a lot. And you work in that company for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And then you take everything that you've learned and you go and you start your own business in a similar industry. And from there, you add in hard work and you absolutely take off. And you may even bring in 1% the amount of business that the company you used to work for, but that's fine because you have 100% ownership. Now, as I said, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago, this would have been the path. The path would have always started with you working at a company or at an organization and understanding that in your early years, you need to prioritize learning over earning. Earning can come a little later, but in your early years, I'm talking specifically here as a student, as a teenager, someone in your early 20s.
I mentioned in my last video, there's no such thing as a get rich quick scheme. There's only a get rich quicker scheme. Making money will never be easier, but it can be a lot less hard than you think it is. If you play your cards right, it doesn't matter if you're starting from $0 today. I genuinely believe in the next 36 months, you could have between $1 to $5 million to your name in your investment portfolio. And the way that you do that is by realizing you need money for assets. Build a practical cash flow business quick, one that's remote, one that's lean, and one that provides you free cash flow so that way you can invest in assets when they're at rock bottom. Having a job is not a plan. And in the same way, starting a business that is not practical is also not a plan. This is coming from experience. I spent obscene amounts of money in a couple years building my software company, Agency Flow. If you want to start a business, I would not recommend starting a SaaS company or starting a business that's impractical. You know, building a new startup or this or that. You need to be practical right now. Remember, you need cash to buy assets. Okay, so you need a business that gives you free cash flow. Now, before we get on to the next point, the other thing that I want to say right now is saving is not a plan. You know, another thing to mention before my next point, our parents always used to say, save money. You know, you need to understand the value of a dollar. You need to respect money. That is unequivocally not true in this era. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you've looked around, but your own government doesn't understand the value of money. And your government is so keen and so willing to devalue its own currency, it doesn't care anymore. I mean, look, ever since we went off the gold standard, money's just loosey-goosey, it's anywhere. Which to me is also another reason why there is so much money being printed. There is so much money out there. And you're still broke? You still don't have any cash on hand to buy assets at fire sale prices in the next 12 to 18 months? What are you doing? Stop messing around. Get your head in the game.
Get your head in the game. So the second and probably most important productivity hack is that I want you to plan the day the night before. Now, I know it sounds too simple to be true, but that's why most people don't do it. You know, there's something very special that goes on overnight when you have set your intention, you know, when you go into the day with true intention. When you set your intention the night before, something very special happens while you're sleeping. I've definitely noticed that. Now, it can be as simple as 3 tasks, 3 main things for the day. Now, back in the day from 2016 to around 2019, 2020, when I was really driving the business forward, I didn't have the leadership that I have in my different companies and the business partners and the CEOs that I have in my different companies. I used to plan my day hour by hour. So literally hour by hour, what am I doing? These days, of course, I've got my calendar, I've got my assistant, and things are penciled in. But apart from that, I like to free flow. For me, the most important thing is looking at my calendar, knowing what I have the next day put in place, whether that be important business calls, important meetings, certain duties that I need to tend to. And for me, it's as simple as writing down 3 to 5 things I need to accomplish that day. It's that simple, but I promise you it works. So try it tonight. Tonight, just very simply write 3 to 5 things down tonight before tomorrow starts, and you'll see your brain starts working overnight and you go into tomorrow with real intention. Especially for, you know, the biggest issue that young men have right now, in my opinion, is mastering their sexual energy. Most guys don't know how to master their sexual energy. You know, most guys don't know how to transmute their sexual energy. You know, and I think if you look, and a lot of authors have written about this, why people usually get more career success in their late 30s, you know, even early 30s, or especially in their 40s and 50s, is because they have less sexual energy, or that sexual energy isn't really, you know, channeled in the form of, I don't know how I say this, but I guess in a physical way. Usually their energy and their focus, you know, as I said, really goes away from...
I once went 28 years without having sex.
I don't know. You get my drift. And really that's when, especially men, have a chance to really focus on their careers. Because as I said, most men out there just don't know what to do with their sexual energy. And that's, you know, that's very plain to see when porn is such a massive industry. Guys, you're literally throwing away the most valuable thing that you have, which is your life energy. Now for girls, it's slightly different, but that's a longer discussion. Here's the thing, you get paid in accordance to the size of the problems that you solve. And in order to solve big problems or do things that are exceptionally great, you need to sacrifice a lot of the mental space that you have in your head. So you need to understand the person that makes $10 million a year plus, in fact, even 3-4 million a year plus, they're sacrificing a lot of mental peace that they can have in their head. They have a lot of chaos in their life because it is only through chaos that you can achieve extraordinary outcomes. So for most people, when they think that they want the life of a multi-millionaire, in fact, what they want is they want a life of financial freedom, but not only that, a life of financial freedom where they can actually enjoy it with peace and being present and actually enjoying the fruits of their labor. What you want, and I'm telling you from experience, trust me when I tell you that what you want is not to be a multi-millionaire and spend all this money on nice cars and nice clothes and expensive holidays and all that, because like I'm telling you, it just gets so boring so quickly. You become so acclimated to, honestly, the pleasure that you get from it is zero. And as I said, the worst part is when you're trying to make multi millions, there will never be a moment, and I can tell you this from experience, there will never be a moment you can sit on the beach in pure peace because you know that you have 25 employees, or in my case, between all my companies, we're almost at 80 employees right now. And as I said, I can tell you it is very difficult to sit on the beach in pure peace and bliss when you've got this much responsibility. You should really focus on having a lifestyle business where you can produce anywhere from 100K to $1 million a year. And those are the sort of ranges that I've been able to find where you can actually put the right people in place, where I can sort of run not on autopilot, because passive income is a lie. There's no such thing where your team will just work for you for the next 20 years and you're gonna have no headaches or anything like that. But the point is where you can really put in a system in place and you're still involved, you know, maybe a couple hours a day online available, you know, you're still making decisions, key hires, stuff like that, but without aggressively scaling. You know, even me, I'm in a position right now, we hired 17 people in the last 30 days. I'm starting to bring on people in my company that I never thought I would need, you know. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm bringing on an HR person because of just the sheer amount of employees that I have. I'm bringing on a full-time in-house accountant. Now we have multiple accountants for the different businesses, but I'm talking like a full-time person that every single day gives me cash flow reports and stuff like that. You know, I'm now getting to a stage where I actually need that. Things are getting very hectic. So you might be wondering, Iman, okay, well then in that case, why don't you scale your business back? Especially because, you know, a lot of you guys know that I've got over an 8-figure investment portfolio. So I could just scale my businesses back to, let's say, $2 million a year, have my investment portfolio, and I'm basically good to go for the rest of my life. Here is why. The only way that you feel fulfilled in life is by doing difficult things. And I get a lot of fulfillment by building. So right now, at the current stage of my life, I am optimizing for fulfillment. So what is very important is you understand what are you optimizing for in your life. Because I can tell you right now, by the way, in 6 years, I do not intend on working as hard as I do now. If that sounds crazy to you, I mean, sure, so be it.